What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I live in the UK, and Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister, has just recently announced that we'll be coming out of lockdown back to normal life in around June, so in about 4 months time. And I was speaking to a friend of mine and I said to him, yo bro, like, I gotta get rid of this lockdown weight. I've got 4 months to look good again. And he was like, how do you look? So I sent him a picture of my belly, and he said, oh damn, we're gonna need a whole 4 months, which made me laugh so much. And I just thought I'd share that with you guys because I found it funny, and I hope you guys found it funny too. But as the title of this video suggests, we're gonna be talking about the editing softwares, and essentially the editing softwares that I've used before and the one that I can recommend, just because a lot of people have asked me recently, in the past as well, they've always asked me, oh, what's a good editing software that you think I should use or I could use to edit such and such video? And whenever I tell them the ones that I use, they have mixed feelings about it. So I thought, why not use this video as a great way to break down some of the best editing softwares, or not some, but the editing softwares that I've used in the past, and how they can help you essentially as a content creator, whether you're a beginner or advanced. So I hope you guys enjoyed this list of the editing softwares that I've used in the past. So yeah, let's get right into it. Also, I've got a bit of a brighter setup today, just because I've been watching a lot of Peter McKinnon's videos and I've realized that he's on the borderline, I feel like anyway, like just close to being overexposed, but it makes his eyes pop out really nicely. And so I wanted to try out with a bit of a brighter key light coming from this side, just to try and get a little bit more detail around my eyes. Let me know if it works, if anything. Drop down in a comment below or send me a message if you like it or if you don't like it and you prefer a little bit darker lighting setup. I feel like there's two main programs that people use, and that is Premiere Pro and Final Cut 10 or Final Cut X. And I'm going to list down the pros and cons of both of them, but I'm also going to be talking about other editing softwares which I think are really good for entry-level editors or entry-level content creators. So right off the bat, I am a Premiere Pro user, but I started editing on, I think, Windows Movie Maker, and then I went to iMovie, then I edited on Final Cut 7 at the time, and Final Cut 10, and then I went into Premiere Pro, and I've also used a lot of editing features on Davinci Resolve. So I've got a little bit of knowledge about all these editing softwares that I'm going to be speaking about today. So as I just mentioned, I am a Premiere Pro user, and that's what I advocate for, but I'm going to go through some of the pros and cons. And some of the pros right off the bat for a Premiere Pro user is that it works for both Mac and PC, so that's always good. And because it works for Mac and PC, you have a wider range of people using it, which this means there's a lot more templates, graphics, and overall plugins that you can use with Premiere Pro as opposed to some of these other editing softwares, making it really, really nice and really easy to use. Because it's an Adobe software, and Adobe is known for making things like Photoshop, Lightroom, After Effects, and essentially they've got this massive workflow, Premiere Pro fits right in, and you can transfer these files around. So if you're doing something on Photoshop, you can transfer it straight into Premiere Pro, and from Premiere Pro, or you can transfer it straight into After Effects, and it does a really nice workflow that you can use with all of your softwares, which is what I'm a really big fan of, that it's easy for me to use. I can transfer things quickly to one software from another, and it gives me what I feel is the most flexibility in the whole of the editing workflow space, if you will. So I can create loads of really nice, effects or images on Photoshop and After Effects and transfer them straight into Premiere Pro, and it works simultaneously, which I think is amazing. It also handles high-res footage really well. So if you're shooting in something like 4K RAW or 8K, you can put them into Premiere Pro and you can work on them pretty efficiently, I think anyway. But when you're having these higher res files, you do need to have a higher spec computer to be able to take in these files. You also get loads and loads of different export options. So you can export for things like YouTube, Vimeo, ProRes, Cinema, or whatever screen you want to be using, you've got like specific export options for each platform, which I think is great, and you don't get often, or you don't get with many other editing softwares. Now, my cons for Premiere Pro is that it crashes a lot of times. You know, you constantly have to be holding that save button to make sure that it's saving continuously in case it crashes. And it crashes because, you know, sometimes it's dealing with such high res files, or you've got so much things going on in terms of effects, graphics, audio, and whatever it's happening, it makes it crash just because it can't handle it. So me personally, I like to keep on my auto save feature that makes my project save every couple of minutes, just to make sure I'm not losing anything important. And if I do lose it, I can always go back to that auto saved file and get my project back. Another con about Premiere Pro is that its warp stabilizer isn't great, and when you're editing something, which might be a little bit shaky if you're doing handheld footage, you then have to throw it into After Effects. That does a much better job as compared to maybe like something like Final Cut Pro, which has a really good warp stabilizer or stabilization feature on it. And lastly, one of my cons for Premiere Pro is that the price. You're paying around £20 a month, every month, to make sure you're using Premiere Pro. Now, me personally, because I like the whole Adobe workflow or the Creative Cloud, I'm using Premiere Pro, After Effects, Photoshop, Lightroom, Illustrator, Adobe Audition, which is the sound aspect of the editing softwares, is I'm paying around £50 a month. So overall, it can get quite pricey if you intend to keep on using it, but I think it's also very effective. Now, talking about Final Cut X or Final Cut 10, it has a one-off price of £299.99. So as soon as you buy it, that's it, you own it, which is a really good deal. Instead of having to keep paying monthly, you know, £20 or £50 a month, you now have Final Cut 10, which you can use, which is absolutely great. Another great feature about Final Cut 10 is that it's really easy to use. It's really fast, and it's really cheap. Like I mentioned, you know, these are great pros about having Final Cut 10 over Premiere Pro. And like I mentioned before, it's also got a great warp stabilizer or a great stabilization feature. So if you're having shaky footage, you can put a stabilization feature on it and it does wonders. And it also has a really great tracking feature as well, which unlike Premiere Pro, you'd have to throw into After Effects to get, you know, motion tracking. But on Final Cut 10, you've got it there available. Now, some of the cons of Final Cut 10 is it takes a long time to import your footage into the software, whereas Premiere does it pretty instantly, which is good. But Final Cut, it does take a bit longer, which can be a little bit annoying. And also, it does a really bad job of generating a small footprint. So if you're working in really high res files, like let's say 4K RAW or 8K RAW, you're gonna have really big projects. It's gonna take up a lot of space in your computer and your memory, so you're gonna have to go through hard drives quicker than what you would use in Premiere Pro. Another one of the cons is that it doesn't have a wide variety of exports. Final Cut X is eventually building more and more export options that you can use, so you look forward to that in the future. And a final con to having Final Cut 10 or Final Cut X is that it only works on Macs. So because it only works on Macs, you don't have a variety of people or a wide variety of people using it, because you're limited to the type of computer that you have if you want to use it, meaning there's not enough plugins or like templates that you can use with Final Cut 10 as opposed to something like Premiere Pro. Now, much like Final Cut X or Final Cut 10 and Premiere Pro, you have something called Davinci Resolve, which is another editing software used by professionals using Hollywood films. And unlike the other two, this one is completely free. So if this one's free and it's giving you professional looking editing features, it's a no-brainer, right? Let's go for Davinci Resolve. The only issue with that is it's an extremely hard learning curve. So if you're a entry-level content creator going into Davinci Resolve, it can take you a very long time, and it may even make you want to give up because the learning curve is so high. And also, as well as having an extremely hard learning curve, it also takes up a lot of power. So for you to even be able to run Davinci Resolve, you need to have a high spec computer, which if you're an entry level content creator, you might not have. And that's just one of the cons of having Davinci Resolve. Even though it's free, which is amazing, there is an extremely hard learning curve and it takes up extreme amount of power that your computer may not be able to handle. Now, some of the pros of having Davinci Resolve, like I said, it's free, completely free, which is absolutely insane. And also it has tons and tons of different features that you can use right inside the software, which is unheard of. Honestly, this software is absolutely amazing. Inside the software, you've not only got your timeline to edit your footage on, you've got a space where you can edit your audio on, you've got a space where you can add effects and graphics, where for Premiere Pro you need something like After Effects, and for Final Cut you need something like Motion VFX or something, whatever. And Davinci Resolve's got it built into the system. And finally, it's absolutely amazing for color grading. So for me, who does a lot in terms of color, I find Davinci Resolve incredible to do color grading on. And especially if I'm working in my own projects and I need to do a heavy grade, I would export my project on Premiere Pro, throw it into Davinci Resolve and add the colors on there, because I feel like Premiere Pro has a really good Lumetri system of colors, but it's also very limited, whereas Davinci is fantastic. Now, there is another software which I'm not that familiar with, but I've heard good things about it. It's called Filmora X. Filmora X? It's called Filmora X. And it's £99 or around £99, £100. And it's really good for entry-level to mid-level editors or content creators. It's got loads of templates for free that you can use in there, which is, you know, great if you want to up the quality value of your work. And it's also got a list of royalty-free music that you can use in your content, whether you're making YouTube videos, vlogs. It gives you like a specific bank of music that you can put into your videos and not be copyrighted for. Personally though, I feel like it's very limited for what you want to do. And you know, if you're going to pay for something, if you're going to pay for editing software, you might as well pay for an editing software that's going to get you better results, let's say. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be evolving your editing skills more and more with every project. So you're going to get to a point where Filmora X or these mid-level editing softwares, they're not going to do the job that you want them to do. So why not just invest straight into a pro editing software like Final Cut or Premiere, or invest on a higher spec computer and get Davinci Resolve. Now, say you're creating content right from your smartphone, which happens a lot these days, especially with smartphones getting better and better every year. Let's say you're creating a lot of videos on your phone and you don't want to have to keep throwing footage from your phone to your computer just to edit. Well, Adobe has come up with software called Adobe Rush, which is, it's like a lesser version, I feel, to Premiere Pro, but it's something that you can use straight on your phone. So it gives you a lot of great capabilities like you would in Premiere Pro, but directly onto your smartphone. So you can edit videos as you would in Premiere Pro, which is, I feel, is really useful, especially when you have something as powerful as that right in your fingertips and you can do it all from home. I think is absolutely amazing. It does come in, I want to say, around £10 a month. So if you're carrying on using it and if you keep using it, I think it can be quite a good investment. So yeah, so that's just one tip. If you're making videos on a phone and you want to edit on your phone, Adobe Rush is a great little editing software. Now, if you don't want to pay for any editing software and you don't have a high spec computer to handle Davinci Resolve, there is the last two editing softwares which I essentially learned to edit on, and that is Windows Movie Maker and Mac's iMovie. Both of them are free and both come with your computer, and they give you basic editing tools that you can use. And if you're an entry-level content creator, you know, until you get to the level you want to create more advanced things, why not just stick with iMovie and just stick with Windows Movie Maker as that kind of a starting off point before you build up to better, more advanced editing softwares like the Premiere Pros, Final Cut, and Davinci Resolve. Because these editing softwares, they give you, you know, some relatively good tools that you can use to edit your videos. Like you can overlay tracks, you can add layers of graphics and video to them. So I think they're actually pretty good for free as an entry level editing software for content creators. So why not? But yeah, these are my recommendations of editing software that you may want to use in the future or use right now if you're an entry level content creator, or if you want to upgrade from entry level, you know, to do more advanced things. I hope this video has really helped you to make a decision of what you want to edit on. But if it did help, then click that like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed to already. I hope this video has been useful and helpful. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.